Picture this. You're flying home 6 days early to surprise your wife with flowers, your heart racing with excitement about the romantic evening you've planned. You've just closed the biggest deal of your career, earned a $40,000 bonus, and you can't wait to see the joy on her face when you walk through the door. But instead of finding the woman you've loved for 4 years, you discover her with someone else in your own bed. What happened next wasn't just revenge. It was a masterclass in cold, calculated justice that destroyed 2 lives and rebuilt one stronger than ever. This is the true story of how I caught my cheating wife and how I made sure she paid for every single lie. My name is Jordan Pierce. I'm 34, senior sales executive at MedFlow Pharmaceuticals, earning $180,000 in good years. I built this from nothing, territory rep 7 years ago, driving clinic to clinic, learning to solve problems people didn't know they had. The promotion changed everything. $1-million accounts, crushing responsibility, brutal travel. Denver, Phoenix, Dallas, repeat. 15 to 20 days monthly on the road, building our future. I met Alicia Hartman 4 years ago at Tom and Sarah's wedding. Classic story, best man meets bridesmaid. Auburn hair catching candlelight, energy that dimmed everyone around her. We talked until 3 a.m. about everything. Her marketing job, my VP dreams, her photography, my secret cooking show obsession. She was ambitious, funny, sharp. Her laugh was pure music. 3 months dating felt like 3 years. Weekend wine trips, late-night future planning. She loved my drive, called it beautiful watching me negotiate. I loved her creativity, how she found beauty everywhere. 6 months later, I proposed at the same vineyard. She cried happy tears. The ring cost a month's salary, but her face made every penny worthwhile. Our wedding was perfect. Countryside inn, intimate ceremony. Alicia looked ethereal in grandmother's vintage lace. During our first dance, she whispered in my ear, "This is just the beginning, Mr. Pierce." I believed completely. Year 1 was everything I'd dreamed. Affordable restaurant dates, bed and breakfast getaways, lazy Sunday mornings planning houses and kids. Alicia made coffee while I cooked breakfast. Finally learned beyond boiling water. She'd curl beside me, legs draped over mine, planning adventures. Then came the promotion. VP Regional Sales, Western Territory. Massive salary jump, crushing responsibility, relentless travel. Everything changed. My life became airports, conference rooms, hotel bars. I told myself it was temporary, paying dues. Alicia initially supported it, straightening my tie before trips and saying, "Go get them, Tiger. I'll be here when you get back." 2 years in, she quit her job. Wanted to focus on us and build a real home while I climbed corporate ladders. I supported it. My income was enough. We could afford her taking time, figuring out what she wanted. But instead of closeness, her unemployment created a void. She filled days with yoga, brunches, shopping, spas. Her Instagram became curated perfection. Coffee cups tagged #blessed, workout clothes with #living my best life, sunset photos with gratitude captions. Our nightly hotel calls told the real story. Initially intimate, full of missing and homecoming plans, gradually becoming perfunctory check-ins. "How was your day?" I'd ask from another identical room. "Fine, boring," she'd respond, TV audible behind her. "What did you do?" I'd continue. "Nothing much, yoga, lunch with Rebecca," she'd answer dismissively. Conversations shortened. Emotional distance crept like fog, subtle until you can't see ahead. I knew something was changing but rationalized it. She was adjusting. Marriage took work, and we'd work through it. I provided well. Wasn't that what mattered? Financial security as foundation for everything else? 3 months ago, calling from Portland. Her phone hit voicemail at 8 p.m. Tried again at 9. Nothing. Finally reached her at midnight. "Sorry, phone was on silent," she said, sounding breathless. "I was at dinner with friends." Until midnight? Tuesday? I didn't question it then. "Which friends?" I asked casually. "Girls from yoga." You don't know them, she replied quickly. I let it slide. Trust was marriage's foundation. Without trust, you had nothing. Now I know without truth, trust is willful blindness. The Austin assignment arrived on a Friday. 10-day trip for $2.3 million contract renewal. Exactly the deal to secure my bonus. I told Alicia that evening, take out Chinese, couch, her scrolling Instagram while I outlined opportunities. 10 days in Austin, I said. Close this deal, we're looking at a $40,000 bonus. Okay, she said without looking up. Just okay. Not great or proud. Like I'd mentioned picking up milk. That response felt different, colder, more distant. Packing Sunday night, I grabbed my phone charger from Alicia's car. Mine died, same model. Found it, receipt tucked in cup holder. Osteria Morello, upscale downtown Italian. Dinner for two, $180. Dated from the previous Thursday 2 weeks ago. Standing in our driveway, mind racing. That Thursday 2 weeks ago, I'd called from Denver around 8. She'd said she was home, had already eaten, was watching Netflix. But this receipt told different stories. Dinner for two at 9:30, wine, dessert. Someone paid $180 for romance while I was 1,200 miles away, believing my wife ate leftovers alone. I pocketed the receipt silently. Small doubt seed planted deep, already growing. Monday morning, I kissed Alicia goodbye at the door. She barely looked up from her coffee. See you in 10 days, I said. She murmured, still scrolling her phone. I drove to the airport with that receipt burning my wallet. But boarding my Austin flight, I couldn't shake the feeling something fundamental had shifted. The life I thought we'd built felt suddenly fragile. I didn't know yet the wind was becoming a hurricane. Austin Bergstrom Airport, Monday morning. Fluorescent lights, overpriced coffee, tired travelers. But I felt energized walking through that terminal. This was my element. High-stakes negotiation, million-dollar deals, corporate chess. Southwest Medical Distribution wasn't just another client. They were the client. $2.3 million annual contract. Expansion potential if played right. The kind of deal worth 10 days away to close. Adrian Ross, their VP of procurement, met me downtown. Silver-haired, built his career saying no to salespeople like me, but I'd done homework. Their pain points, supply chain delays, margin pressure, compliance headaches. I had solutions. Jordan Pierce, I said, extending my hand, ready to solve problems. His handshake was evaluating as he replied, We'll see. First day was reconnaissance. Department meetings, facility tours, listening more than talking. Impressive operation, state-of-the-art warehouse, sophisticated inventory. But I spotted cracks. Late deliveries costing penalty fees. Current supplier couldn't guarantee stock during flu season spikes. They needed reliability over rock-bottom pricing. I called Alicia that night from the hotel bar, reviewing notes over bourbon. How was your first day? She asked, TV audible behind her. Good. Complex deal, but I understand what they need, I answered. She responded dismissively. 6 minutes total. She seemed distracted, eager to get off. When I said, I love you, there was a pause before she reciprocated. Tuesday was strategy development. Morning with logistics, mapping delivery schedules, identifying bottlenecks. By afternoon, I had a proposal forming. Guaranteed delivery windows, surge capacity for seasonal spikes, dedicated account management. Not cheapest option, but smartest. Tuesday night's call was shorter. How was your day? I asked. Fine. Yoga, lunch with Stephanie, she replied curtly. Stephanie from your old job? I inquired. No, from yoga. You don't know her, she answered with slight irritation. Stephanie from yoga. Like the friends from that midnight dinner. People I'd never met, whose last names Alicia never mentioned. Wednesday morning, I presented preliminary proposals. Adrian and his team asked hard questions about pricing, delivery guarantees, penalty clauses. I answered them all. By lunch, I could see them coming around. The math worked. The value was clear. Wednesday night changed everything. Alicia's phone hit voicemail at 8. Tried again at 9. Same thing. Finally reached her at 10:15. "Sorry," she said, breathless. "Can I call you back? I'm in the middle of something." "In the middle of what?" I asked suspiciously. "Just stuff. Girl things. I'll call you back in an hour," she replied hastily. She didn't call back. I lay in that hotel bed staring at the ceiling, mind racing. 2 unexplained late nights in 3 days. The Osteria Morello receipt burning in my memory. Growing distance in her voice, eagerness to escape our conversations. Either I was becoming paranoid, or my wife was lying. Thursday morning changed everything. I was in Adrian's office finalizing contract details when my phone buzzed. Text from my boss. "Ross just called. They're ready to sign. Get paperwork done and get home. Exceptional work." I stared at the message, adrenaline flooding. I'd closed the deal in 4 days instead of 10. The $2.3 million contract was ours. My $40,000 bonus was secure. I was going home 6 days early. As Adrian and I shook hands over signed contracts, an idea formed. Don't tell Alicia. Surprise her. Show up with flowers, plan romantic dinner, reconnect. We needed this. The flight home felt like Christmas morning. I kept checking my phone, resisting texting urges. The surprise would be perfect. Her face when I walked through the door 6 days early, shock, joy, reminder that our marriage was worth fighting for. I caught a taxi from DFW, stopped at Nathan's Florist on Maple. White roses, her favorite. $60 for 2 dozen. "Special occasion?" asked the florist, a grandmother with kind eyes. "Surprising my wife," I said, grinning. "Home early from business." "Lucky girl," she said warmly, wrapping roses in white paper. "Lucky girl." Yeah, Alicia was lucky. We both were. We had problems, but we could fix them. Love was work, and I was ready to work. The taxi turned onto our street at 3:45 p.m. Tall oaks, afternoon sunlight filtering through leaves, everything exactly as I'd left it. Home, sweet home. Then I saw it. Silver Audi TT parked in our driveway. Not beside, in it, like whoever drove it belonged there. My excitement curdled into something cold. I didn't recognize the car. Expensive, sporty, California plates. Not something Alicia's yoga friends drove. "This the address?" asked the taxi driver. "Yeah," I said, my voice strange in my ears. "This is it." I paid him, grabbed my suitcase and roses with trembling hands. The front door was unlocked, always unlocked during the day. Small-town Ohio habits Alicia wouldn't break. I pushed the door open slowly, quietly. House silent except for air conditioning. Then I noticed man's jacket draped over our couch. Expensive leather, black, men's shoes by the door, Nike running shoes, size 11. Trail of clothing led toward stairs. Woman's blouse discarded carelessly. Men's jeans. A bra I'd bought Alicia for Valentine's Day. Lace and silk, $60 at Victoria's Secret. From upstairs, from our bedroom, sounds that turned my blood to ice. My wife's voice, breathless and satisfied in ways I hadn't heard in months. A man's voice, younger, confident. I set down my suitcase carefully. White roses fell from trembling hands, petals scattering like snow. My mind went crystal clear with rage so pure it was almost peaceful. I pulled out my phone, opened the camera app. Whatever I found upstairs, I needed proof. For what came next, I needed evidence. The stairs had never seemed so long. Each step up those stairs felt deliberate, methodical, like walking toward my own execution. The sounds from our bedroom grew clearer. Alicia's voice, breathless, saying things I'd never heard her say to me. A man's voice, younger, arrogant, responding with casual confidence of someone who belonged there. The bedroom door was cracked open 6 inches, just enough. I held my phone up, hands steadier than they had any right to be, and looked through that gap into the room where I'd slept every night for 4 years. the bed I'd bought before we were married. The sheets Alicia had picked last spring because they were romantic. She was on top of him, naked, auburn hair falling across her face as she moved with urgency I hadn't seen in months. The man beneath her was muscular, tan, maybe 28. Hands on her hips, guiding her movements, his face twisted in pleasure. They were completely lost in each other, oblivious to the world outside their stolen moment. I started recording. 30 seconds of crystal-clear video, faces clearly visible, no ambiguity about what was happening. The adultery was undeniable. The betrayal was complete. The evidence was ironclad. Then I kicked the door open. "What the hell?" I roared. The explosion of shock and panic was immediate. Alicia screamed, scrambling to cover herself with the sheet. The man, later I'd learn his name was Eric Donovan, tried to roll away, his face going white with terror. "Oh my God, Jordan!" Alicia's voice was pure panic. "I can explain!" But I was already moving. Pure rage, years of gym workouts and adrenaline that could flip cars. I grabbed Eric by the throat and dragged him out of bed. He was bigger, younger, probably stronger. But I had surprise and fury on my side. My fist connected with his jaw. The satisfaction was primal, electric. I felt something crack. His cheekbone or my knuckles, I didn't care which. He stumbled backward, naked and bleeding. "Please, man, I didn't know," he started to say. "You didn't know what?" I roared, grabbing his shoulders and driving my knee into his stomach. He doubled over, gasping. "You didn't know she was married? In her married bed? In the house her husband pays for?" I dragged him toward the stairs, his feet barely keeping up. Alicia was screaming behind us, but her voice sounded underwater. All I could hear was blood rushing in my ears and the sound of Eric's bare feet slipping on hardwood stairs. I'm sorry, he kept saying, which only made me angrier. Sorry? Sorry was for spilling coffee or forgetting anniversaries. Sorry didn't cover sleeping with another man's wife in his own bed. I threw him out the front door, naked and bleeding. He stumbled on the front steps, caught himself, looked back at me with fear in his eyes. "If I ever see you again," I said, my voice deadly calm, "I'll kill you. Do you understand me?" He nodded frantically, covered himself with his hands, and ran. Just ran down the street, naked and humiliated, disappearing around the corner like the coward he was. When I turned around, Alicia was at the top of the stairs, wrapped in our bedsheet, mascara running down her cheeks in black rivers. "Jordan, please," she pleaded. "Let me explain. It's not what you think." "Get dressed," I said coldly. My voice sounded different even to me. Cold, controlled. The rage had burned through me and left something else behind, something calculating. While she disappeared into the bedroom, I made 3 phone calls. First, Michael Brennan, my attorney. We'd gone to college together, stayed in touch. He specialized in family law. "Michael, it's Jordan Pierce. I need you to file for divorce. Today. I have video evidence of adultery," I said. "Jesus, Jordan. Are you sure? Maybe you should—" He started to reply. "I'm sending you the video right now. File the papers. Today," I interrupted. I sent the video while we were still on the phone. I heard him intake a sharp breath as he watched it. "Okay," he said quietly. "I'll get started immediately. Don't say anything else to her without me present." Second call. Patricia Hartman, Alicia's mother. Sweet woman, traditional values, had always treated me like the son she never had. "Patricia, it's Jordan. I need you to watch a video I'm about to send you. Then we need to talk," I said. I sent her the same video, waited 30 seconds for her to watch it. She called back crying. "Oh my God, Jordan, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say," she sobbed. "Tell her she's not welcome at your house. Tell her she made her choice," I said firmly. "But Jordan, she's my daughter," she protested. "And I was your son-in-law, until 30 minutes ago when I found her f***ing another man in our bed." Watch that video again, Patricia, then decide whose side you're on, I replied coldly. I hung up. Third call. I didn't make it. I realized I needed to document everything first. Chain of evidence, timestamps, witnesses. Michael was right. I needed to be smart about this. I took photos of the scattered clothes in the living room, the unmade bed upstairs, the silver Audi still sitting in my driveway like a monument to my humiliation. Everything documented, time-stamped, geotagged. Alicia came downstairs 10 minutes later, dressed in jeans and a sweater, her face puffy from crying. She tried to approach me, but I held up a hand. "Don't," I said firmly. "Just don't." "Jordan, please. It was a mistake. I never meant for this to happen. I love you," she pleaded. "You have 10 minutes to grab whatever you can carry. Then I'm calling the police," I stated. "What? Why?" "Jordan, we need to talk about this," she protested. "You want to talk? Here's the conversation. This house is in my name only. I bought it before we were married. You have no legal claim to it. Your name isn't on the mortgage, deed, or any utilities. As of right now, you're trespassing," I explained coldly. The legal reality hit her like a slap. I'd been smart when we got married, kept the house in my name, kept my assets protected. At the time, I'd thought it was just good financial planning. Now, it was my salvation. "But where will I go?" she asked, sounding like a lost child. "That's not my problem anymore. You should have thought about that before you decided to destroy our marriage," I replied without emotion. She broke down then, sobbing, trying to explain. It had only been going on for 6 months. Eric was just a trainer at her gym. It didn't mean anything. She'd been lonely, confused, making bad choices. She loved me. We could work through this, couples therapy, whatever it took. But I wasn't listening anymore. My mind had moved past emotional devastation to practical matters. Asset protection, reputation management, legal strategy, the business side of betrayal. 9 minutes, I said, checking my watch. She grabbed her purse, phone, and coat, threw some clothes into a gym bag, kept trying to talk to me, to explain, to apologize. I stared through her like she was made of glass. At the door, she turned back one last time. "Jordan, I know you hate me right now, but please don't do anything you'll regret. We can fix this if you'll just..." She pleaded desperately. "The only thing I regret," I said, "is that I wasted 4 years of my life on someone who thinks love and marriage are disposable." She left. I locked the door behind her. I sat on the couch where Eric's jacket had been draped 30 minutes ago. The white roses were scattered across the floor, petals brown around the edges, dying. I didn't cry, didn't scream, didn't punch walls. I just sat there, staring at those dying flowers, feeling something fundamental shift inside my chest. The man who'd left for Austin 4 days ago, the man who'd bought surprise flowers for his wife, who'd believed his marriage just needed attention, that man was gone. In his place was someone colder, someone smarter, someone who understood that love without respect was worthless, and trust without truth was just another word for fool. I picked up my phone and opened our shared phone account. Alicia's text message records were all there, months of digital evidence waiting. I downloaded 6 months of records and opened the file. Hundreds of messages to a number I didn't recognize. My jaw clenched as I started reading. "Can't wait to see you again. Jordan's gone until Friday. Come over at 2. That was amazing yesterday. I can't stop thinking about you." Each message was a knife twist. This wasn't a moment of weakness or one-time mistake. This was calculated, deliberate, ongoing. A 6-month campaign of lies and betrayal, while I worked 20 days a month to build our future. The last message was from this morning. "Miss you already. Can't wait for round 2 tonight." Round 2. Like I was some obstacle to be worked around, some inconvenience in their love story. I set the phone down and looked around our house, my house, with new eyes. Every piece of furniture, every photograph, every memory contaminated by knowledge of what had been happening here. Tomorrow, I would start rebuilding. But tonight, I was going to plan how to make sure Alicia understood exactly what she'd thrown away and what it was going to cost her. Friday morning, I woke at 5 a.m. with clarity I hadn't felt in years. No grogginess, no need for coffee to kickstart my brain, just pure, focused energy. I'd operated on less sleep during million-dollar negotiations. This was no different. Except this time, it was personal. By 9 a.m., I was sitting across from Michael Brennan in his downtown office, evidence spread across his mahogany desk like pieces of a chess game. The video, printed screenshots of text messages, phone records, financial statements, everything I needed to destroy someone who'd spent 6 months destroying me. Jesus, Jordan, Michael said, scrolling through text records on his tablet. 6 months? And look at the timeline. Messages sent while you were traveling, detailed planning around your schedule. This wasn't an affair. This was a campaign. What are my options? I asked. Michael leaned back in his leather chair, already thinking like the lawyer who'd graduated summa cum laude from SMU. With this evidence? Complete victory. Texas is a community property state, but adultery changes everything. She gets nothing. No alimony, no asset split, no claim to anything you brought into the marriage, he explained. The house? I inquired. Yours. You bought it before marriage, titles in your name only. She has zero claim, he confirmed. What about going after him? Eric Donovan? I asked. Alienation of affection isn't recognized in Texas anymore, but we can make his life uncomfortable in other ways. What does he do for work? Michael replied. I'd been doing my homework. Personal trainer at Elite Fitness downtown, has his own LLC for private clients, drives that silver Audi on a lease he probably can't afford, I answered. Michael made notes. We'll send a cease and desist letter to his gym, letting them know about the adultery, the harassment, the threats of violence. Most employers don't want that kind of liability. As for his private business, he shrugged. Word travels fast in Dallas. Rich wives don't tend to hire trainers with reputations for sleeping with their clients. My next stop was Premier Bank, where Rebecca Chen had been managing my portfolio for 3 years. She greeted me with the concerned professionalism of someone who'd seen this scenario before. I need to protect everything, I told her, sliding the divorce papers across her desk. Effective immediately. Rebecca scanned the documents, noting the adultery clause. I'll freeze her access to all joint accounts within the hour. Given the circumstances, we can transfer your half to a new personal account today. What about credit cards? She asked. She's an authorized user on 3 cards. Remove her from all of them, I instructed. Done. Life insurance beneficiary? She continued. Change it to my sister, I replied. The thought of Alicia collecting on my death after what she'd done made my stomach turn. By noon, Alicia's access to our shared financial life was completely severed. Every credit card, every bank account, every automatic payment, her gym membership, canceled, her spa appointments. She'd have to find a new way to pay for them. The house came next. New locks, because I wasn't taking chances. The locksmith, a guy named Pete with calloused hands and kind eyes, whistled when he saw the security system I wanted installed. Expecting trouble? He asked. Preventing it, I replied firmly. While Pete worked, I methodically erased Alicia from my life. Beneficiary forms updated on retirement accounts. Emergency contacts changed at work. Auto insurance policy revised. Utility companies notified to remove her name. Each action was surgical, deliberate, irreversible. Then came the part I'd been both dreading and anticipating. Social destruction. I crafted a single text message and sent it to 15 people, Alicia's closest friends, my friends who'd become our friends, key family members from both sides. The message was brief and devastating. This is Jordan. I wanted you to hear from me directly. I returned home early from a business trip yesterday and discovered Alicia in our bed with another man. I have video evidence. I filed for divorce on grounds of adultery. I won't be discussing this further, but wanted you to know the truth before she tries to control the narrative. I didn't attach the video. I wasn't cruel, just strategic. But the message was clear, and I knew these people. They'd ask Alicia. She'd deny it. Then Patricia, if she'd found her spine, would confirm it to someone. Truth would spread faster than Alicia's lies ever could. The responses started within minutes. Shock. Outrage on my behalf. Support. Several of Alicia's closest friends texted asking if it was true, their messages dripping with disbelief. I didn't respond. The silence spoke louder than any explanation. Rebecca Matthews, Alicia's maid of honor, sent a particularly telling response. I can't believe she would do this to you. I'm so sorry, Jordan. You deserve so much better. Even her own friends saw the truth immediately. By Saturday morning, Michael called with an update that made me smile for the first time in 2 days. She showed up at her parents' house last night, he said. Richard Hartman, her father, turned her away. Wouldn't even let her inside. Richard Hartman was a retired Marine, old-school values, zero tolerance for dishonesty. I'd always respected him, and apparently the feeling was mutual. What about Patricia? I asked. She tried to advocate for her daughter, but Richard held firm. Quote, "We raised her better than this. She's not welcome here until she takes responsibility for what she's done," Michael reported. The social isolation was working exactly as planned. Saturday afternoon, I learned from my network that Alicia had spent the day calling every friend she had. One by one, they went silent. Some blocked her number. Others sent brief, cold responses. I can't believe you did that to Jordan. Don't contact me again. You made your choice. Her carefully curated social media life, all those blessed posts and perfect couple photos, became a monument to her hypocrisy. Friends started unfollowing her. Comments on old posts turned accusatory. The digital life she'd built while I traveled for work collapsed in real time. Through Rebecca's connections, I also learned that Eric Donovan had disappeared. His gym membership was terminated. They cited behavioral concerns and member complaints, which in corporate speak meant someone had called and explained exactly what kind of man they were employing. His apartment lease showed he'd broken it early, paying substantial penalties to get out. Word through my network was that he'd fled the state entirely. Colorado, maybe Nevada. Didn't matter where. He was gone, and his reputation in Dallas was radioactive. Sunday evening, I sat in my home office, my sanctuary, reviewing the week's damage. Divorce filed and uncontested, assets secured and protected, social circle destroyed, family support evaporated, the other man banished. I'd protected myself on every front while ensuring Alicia faced consequences for every choice she'd made. But there was one more thing. I opened my laptop and composed an email to Nathan Marketing, the boutique agency where Alicia used to work. A professional inquiry about Alicia Hartman for a potential new hire, requesting references and background information. I knew they'd contact Alicia for verification. I knew she'd realize I was systematically ensuring she couldn't rebuild easily. The knowledge that I was steps ahead, that her options were shrinking by the day, would eat at her worse than any direct confrontation. But I didn't send it. That would be petty, and I wasn't petty. I was thorough. I closed the laptop and looked around the house that was finally, completely mine. Every trace of Alicia removed, every legal vulnerability addressed, every financial exposure eliminated. She'd gambled our marriage on a 6-month affair with a personal trainer, believing I'd be too devastated or too weak to fight back. She'd bet wrong. My phone buzzed. Unknown number, text message. You destroyed my life. I hope you're happy. I recognized the number from Alicia's text records. It was Eric. Apparently, he'd found a moment between running away and nursing his broken face to send me a message. I screenshotted the text, forwarded it to Michael for the harassment file, then blocked the number. But I had to admit, a small part of me felt vindicated. They were both living with consequences now. Finally. Justice wasn't always pretty, but it was always necessary. And sometimes, if you were smart enough and thorough enough, it was also complete. 3 weeks after the divorce was finalized, I stood in my house marveling at how much space there was. Not just physical space, though removing every trace of Alicia made rooms feel larger, but emotional space, mental space, the kind you don't realize you've lost until you get it back. The cleaning service had been worth every penny. Professional-grade, deep clean, every surface sanitized. New mattress in the master bedroom, which I'd finally started sleeping in again. New sheets, Egyptian cotton. The bed where I'd found her with Eric was replaced entirely. The old one went to donation. Work had become my sanctuary again, differently than before. My boss, David Martinez, had called me into his office the Monday after everything exploded. "I heard what happened," he'd said, closing the door. "Your job is secure. Take whatever time you need." I'd expected questions, maybe judgment. Instead, David treated me like what I was, a valued employee going through hell who deserved support, not scrutiny. "I don't need time," I'd told him. "Work is the one thing in my life that still makes sense." The Austin deal had generated 2 more opportunities. My reputation for closing difficult contracts was stronger than ever. The $40,000 bonus had been deposited 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized. Blood money, I'd thought initially, but that was wrong. I'd earned that money by being excellent at my job, by solving problems and creating value. I'd used half the bonus for consultation with Dr. Sarah Martinez, a therapist specializing in betrayal trauma. Our first session had been brutal. "Tell me about the moment you walked into your bedroom," she'd said, her voice gentle but direct. The carefully constructed walls I'd built around that moment cracked like old concrete. I cried for the first time since it happened, not for Alicia, but for the man I'd been when I left for Austin. The man who'd bought surprise flowers for his wife, who'd believed his marriage just needed attention. That man had died at 3:47 p.m. on a Thursday afternoon in his own bedroom. "Betrayal isn't just about what they did," Dr. Martinez explained. "It's about the shattering of your reality. Every day you worked, traveled, and sacrificed, believing you were building something together, she was actively destroying it. The betrayal isn't just sexual, it's existential. Through therapy, I'd learned to identify warning signs I'd missed. Not because I was stupid, but because I'd been conditioned to trust, to give benefit of doubt, to rationalize away inconsistencies. The late-night dinners with friends. Her new gym membership 6 months ago, right when the affair started. Her sudden interest in personal appearance after months of complaining about boredom. I'd seen these as positive developments. They were red flags I'd been trained to ignore. One evening, I spent 2 hours deleting every photo of Alicia from my phone, every text message, every email, every digital trace of 4 years together. When I was finished, it was like she'd never existed. The relief was immediate and profound. My friend Adrian had finally convinced me to join him for drinks at our old place downtown. I'd been hermiting since the divorce, and my friends were starting to worry. "You did the right thing," Adrian said over bourbon, his voice serious. "Quick, clean, decisive. Some guys would have tried to work it out, gone to couples therapy, gotten played again." "Yeah," I said, staring into my glass. "But there's a part of me that feels—" "What?" he asked. "Empty. Like I won, but I'm not sure what I won," I replied honestly. Adrian studied me with the expression of a man who'd been married 15 years and understood the weight of what I'd lost. "You won your dignity," he said finally. "Your future. Your self-respect. That's not nothing, Jordan. That's everything." He was right. But late that night, sitting on my back porch with a beer, the same porch where Alicia and I used to watch sunsets during those first golden months, I felt the full weight of what I'd lost. Not her, specifically, but the dream of her. The future we'd planned. The family we'd never have. I pulled out my phone and looked at my blocked numbers list. Alicia's number. Eric's number. I could unblock them, see if there were more messages, more attempts at contact or explanation. I could reopen that door, let the chaos back in. I didn't. Instead, I opened my conversation with Dr. Martinez and sent a quick message. "Having a difficult night. See you Tuesday?" She responded within minutes. "Absolutely. Healing isn't linear. Be patient with yourself." 6 months from now, I knew I'd barely recognize this version of myself sitting on this porch, still processing wreckage. A year from now, this would be a story I told, not a wound I carried. My phone buzzed. Not a blocked number, my boss. "Call me when you get a chance. Have a proposition for you," the text read. I smiled slightly. Life had a way of moving forward whether you were ready or not. I finished my beer, stood up, and walked inside. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities, new reasons to be grateful for the life I'd rebuilt from scratch. The door closed behind me with a satisfying click. Secure. Protected. Mine. For the first time in months, I was genuinely excited about what came next. 6 months later, I'm sitting on the same back porch at sunset, but everything has changed. I'm 35 now, holding a beer that tastes different because I'm different. The man who sat here 6 months ago feels like someone I used to know. The proposition from David had been a promotion to VP of Sales, the goal I'd been chasing for years. More importantly, it came with reduced travel, 8 to 10 days a month instead of 15 to 20. Manageable, sustainable. Balance isn't weakness, it's wisdom earned through pain. The house is my sanctuary now. I'd redecorated everything, modern, clean, masculine, no compromises. The bedroom where I'd found Alicia became my home office. I sleep in what used to be the guest room, now expanded and renovated. New bed, new energy, new chapter. Therapy with Dr. Martinez continued for 4 months. She helped me understand that my hyper-focus on work hadn't just been ambition, it had been avoidance. I'd been avoiding intimacy problems in my marriage by staying on the road, telling myself I was building our future while actually running from our present. Alicia's betrayal was her choice, her moral failing. But I'd contributed to the distance between us. Not an excuse for her. Nothing could excuse what she'd done. But a lesson for me. I'd learned to be present, to communicate directly, to address problems instead of hoping they'd resolve themselves. The dating had started slowly. 3 dates with Elena, a divorce attorney. The irony wasn't lost on me. It hadn't clicked, but those dates proved something important. I could feel attraction again. I could open up to someone new. I wasn't broken, just more careful. Through Adrian, I'd heard updates about Alicia. She was working some low-level administrative job in Ohio, making $12 an hour, living in a studio apartment. Eric Donovan had vanished completely. The personal training business he'd built in Dallas was gone. The silver Audi was probably repossessed. He was a ghost, which was exactly what he deserved. I lifted my beer toward the darkening sky. "To new beginnings," I said to no one in particular. The wind carried the words away, and I smiled. Not bitter, not angry, just genuinely content. The hardest lessons had been learned. Trust your instincts. Don't ignore red flags. Protect yourself legally and financially, and when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I finished my beer and looked at my house. My sanctuary, my rebuild, my proof that you can survive devastation and emerge stronger. The world doesn't owe you anything, but you owe yourself everything. I'm living proof of that truth.